Good evening. You're watching the Chucktown Wind Report Friday night update for January the 15th. It's about 8:45 p.m. And let's talk about winds and weather for the next couple of days. Today we actually had a very interesting setup with low pressure that was supposed to originally be hugged in along the coast. It actually came in across the Gulf, went right across the mid-state of South Carolina, and that's what brought us those west-southwest to southwesterly winds behind the rains. So we also had some pulsing moisture come back down around it, but mainly what it was these winds wrapping around the low pressure. And we call this in meteorology, we call this forced baroclinic mixing at the surface, when we actually had strong enough flow on the beaches to overcome the marine layering issues. There was some on the outside, but closer to the beach and in the harbor and other areas, we actually saw those winds settle down pretty nicely. So we were seeing 20 to 22 knots in some locales. Some of the sensors were reading 16 to 18 knots, but there's definitely some wind rivers going on right near the beach, not where the sensors were picking up. So very interesting scenario for today. It's one of the few times that we can actually depend on a southwest or west-southwest wind to settle all the way down to the surface and overcome the cooler shelf water decoupling issues that usually happen this time of the year on the southerly winds. So with that said, it looks like these west-southwesterlies are going to continue to go through the area. Right now we're seeing a post-frontal west-northwesterly flow really cranking up in the harbor, and that should continue for the next few hours. But as we wake up tomorrow, we'll probably see a west-southwesterly flow ahead of this next cold front that's coming. This is more of a dry cold front, and I'm not expecting to see very much rain out of it, but it should keep that southwest or even more of a west-southwesterly flow going through tomorrow. So I'm not expecting very much out of this. Maybe a few low teens. The beaches may be able to hold near 10 knots to low teens, but we may see some of the higher numbers over the open waters of the harbor and other areas that aren't land shadowed out. So we'll call for 10 to 14 knots tomorrow, west-southwesterly flow, and as this cold front draws near, we may see some higher pulsing in the afternoon. And as we get into Sunday, we have another area of low pressure that's going to be wedging up right along the coastline, and things are going to get pretty interesting. So we're not seeing it here on the surface map just yet, but we are expecting a coastal low to develop and actually wrap around some northerly winds around it, and things could get pretty messy while this low pressure sets up along the coast and then scoots off to the northeast. So this is the pattern where we have a jet stream set up that's sort of driving everything over this way. Our subtropical jet is hanging just south of the area, but it's enough to keep this cooler air battle that dives down to the southeast and this warmer air along the south portion of it, where these low pressures are spinning up, and they're going to this one on Sunday anyways is going to keep a northerly flow going. And then as we get into later Sunday, we're going to see high pressure really wedging down from the northern tier states, and that's going to be really driving down a northerly wind behind it. So as this low pressure system exits on Sunday to this area, it's going to be wrapping around moisture, and so this area is probably going to see some ice and some snow, and it could reach down into South Carolina a little bit, but mainly to the mountain areas. We will start to see a cold northerly flow build down into the southeast, and that will really cool things down for Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday of next week. So that's kind of what we're looking at on the surface map. If we take a look at Datascope, what's going on right now on radar, you can see remnants of the low pressure, which is right about here now. It's probably lifted up through this area. It's occluding, so that means it's got a little bit of cooler air wrapping around it. It's trying to dispel the warm air coming up from the south. But we still do see this southerly flow coming in from the west ahead of this next cold front, so we can expect more of a westerly flow to start the morning, and then as the day heats up and the cold front sort of approaches the area, we could probably see that southwest or west-southwest turn. So let's take a quick look at let's see here, Datascope for the Charleston area. And what's going on right now is we have some pretty strong gusts going on out there. Fort Sumter front range light, we're picking up some gusts just over 30 a little bit before 8 p.m. Things are starting to calm down. The winds are west-northwest. Those post-frontal flows, we're seeing some higher gusts here at Sullivan's Island. Just now seeing up near 30 knots. And like I said, as time goes on, these spots will calm down, and we'll see that west-southwesterly flow start to fill in by the morning time. So here's our Datascope future view for the modeling, and here we go for tomorrow, for Saturday. Looks like when we wake up we'll see that west-southwest. For according to these models, for what they're saying, Everything kind of keeps it low, right at or near 10 knots. That's why I'm saying 10 to 14 knots for tomorrow, because I think when we get a west-southwesterly flow, it tends to couple better along the beaches than a south or southwest flow overall. So we may see just a slightly tighter gradient than that. And then as we go into Sunday, we see these northerlies wrap around the low pressure. Things get a little bit messy at that time, though, with the low pressure in such close proximity to the coast. So it could be a washout until that low exits the region, and then the northerly winds relax again until possibly Monday, when things ramp up a little bit when that high pressure diving down from the north. So the models are seeing a slight tick up in the morning on Sunday for the northerly winds, but like I said, with the rain mixed in, it could be a little bit messy for that. So that'll do it for the Chucktown Wind Report. Thanks again for watching. I'll come back on in a couple of days to update. Thank you.